Welcome to the Spark Companies podcast, your go-to resource for all things talent acquisition and career development. At Spark Companies, we're not just a talent acquisition agency. We're champions of potential, dedicated to connecting talented individuals with their dream careers and helping businesses thrive through exceptional talent. Join me as we explore the dynamic landscape of recruitment, uncovering insights, strategies, and success stories that empower both employers and job seekers alike. Whether you're a seasoned recruiter, passionate job seeker, or a business leader looking to elevate your team, this podcast is for you. Each episode, we'll dive into topics ranging from recruitment trends and best practices to personal and professional development tips. Our goal? To ignite sparks of inspiration, foster growth, and ultimately create opportunities that transform lives. So whether you're tuning in from the corner office or the job search trenches, get ready to be inspired, informed, and empowered. This is the Spark Companies podcast, where every conversation sparks opportunity.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Spark Companies podcast. My name is EJ Swanson, and I'm here with CEO of Spark Companies, Aaron Opalewski. Aaron, how are you today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, EJ?
Man, I'm fired up. I feel like today's just been a great day. We've been recording content and podcasts and on other people's podcasts. It just feels like we're winning, and I love that. I love it.
One day at a time.
Let's go. Let's go. Aaron, today on our episode, I want to talk through the different types of recruiting. Now, obviously, there's different terminology. There's different things with industry-wide that people define as types of recruiting. Here at Spark, we have a number of different ways that we define it. Over the years, have you changed your language in what you would define as the types of recruiting, or has Spark always kind of stayed pretty consistent within that?
We have changed our language, and we use different language than some of like the industry standard.
Okay.
That's by design, for us. And then as we've evolved new service lines, we've kind of continued that and like to put our own spin on it.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
and now I don't know if it's because I'm more aware or if it's because people have heard it and are now using it as well.
Okay.
But, it's not like we have it trademarked or anything.
Right.
So like whatever. But I've heard it on a couple like other podcasts now, and I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are calling it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, copy is the greatest form of flattery sometimes.
I don't know if they are or not, but I that's what I told myself.
Yeah,
so.
that's good. I love that about you. Well, there's four main types of recruitment, at least that we're going to talk about today. There's more types of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many variations
Okay.
of this stuff. There's four that we from a placement standpoint that we really swim in and focus on.
Okay.
So we'll cover those today.
Yeah.
But there's even within the ones we're going to cover, there's just nuance to it and context and like little variables to it. So
yeah, I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. So here at Spark, the four types, or I'll just kind of talk through them here. We have contract to direct hiring. We have direct hire. We have recruitment partner services, and we also have engaged searches or engagements. Talk to us a little bit about what a contract to direct placement looks like in recruiting, and where you find the most organizations that we're working with, where that really suits them best.
yeah, so I mean, contract to direct recruiting. Think of temp to hire, temporary is some other things that have called it. We like to call it contract to direct. Just don't love the temporary.
Yeah.
Because that's really not what we do. The jobs that we're placing, on contract to direct, like we only target jobs in that area that have the ability to go direct with the client someday.
Okay.
Now we do some contingent projects that, when I say contingent within that, it's longer term contract. But we're doing that with that in mind, that it's not like we don't do day labor or anything like that. Like if we do something, it's either going to go direct or it should be like a long-standing project.
Okay.
In the event where we've taken a project that's like a month or two window, generally that comes with like a juiced comp situation too, where someone might get, quite a bit of extra comp. But
Got it.
I can count on my hand in the last 5 years how many projects like that we've done.
Okay.
99% of the stuff we do in this area is contract to direct, where they are W-2 team member for us for a period of time. And then after a period of time, the client has the ability to hire them in direct to their company.
Wow.
And it's really kind of, I mean, companies do it for all different kinds of reasons, but they want to control headcount or have a variable headcount on contract, a percentage of their labor force. A lot of the mature organizations, as it comes to like staffing strategy, they want a variable labor component
Okay.
that ebbs and flows with them picking up projects. So if they pick up projects and they're unsure of, like, hey, we just picked up these 3 projects, but are they going to renew? It's new for us. Or hey, we just grew X amount and we're not exactly sure how much of that growth is going to like be sustainable versus like, 1 year thing or, a hot project and then it's going to be gone. Well, they'll do that within, variable labor. So there's a lot of other reasons why companies might keep a variable labor percentage to their workforce. But in all those instances that we do, whether it's like a 90 days to direct or even if it's like longer durations, we're not working on any programs right now at the moment at all in any of the companies that don't have the ability to go direct at some point.
Okay. And our, the initial thought when I heard that is, I think of industries that get a ton of business like really quick. And again, I'm not a pro at the recruiting side of things. Within that is the contract to direct if they were behind on a project or if that project was accelerating? Is that when they would use contract to direct, or
it could be both?
Okay.
It could be, I misspoke. So an area where you could call it we have a mix going on. Like we have, one area of our business is somewhat project based still, and there'll be a lot of ultimately people get hired direct out of that. But also what we have within that is like we'll shift people. Like we have so many of those projects that they'll shift from like one to the other, to the other, to the other. Like they just kind of keep going around. But even in those instances, as they end up at some of those organizations, we might end up having someone get scooped up direct at some point.
Okay.
So I guess that's what I was alluding to. That we have that not happening in any capacity right now.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me now. Thanks.
Think of it like this: like the companies that do that, they have spikes in their labor needs.
Okay, that's great.
It's seasonal. It's periods of times. It's you've been in some of our other trainings, right? So you have projects that are in design. They then move to design to actual like manufacturing, and so while they're in design, the labor force need in manufacturing is not as high. But by the time it hits the floor and there's actual materials on the floor and stuff has to be built, well, then they have a spike of labor.
Got it.
In a perfect world, those companies have other stuff in design, and as one thing closes out, they put this right over there. But that's not always the case, or they might get a spike in a bunch of work, right? It comes through, and their upcoming pipeline doesn't look quite the same. So that's, a use case for the variable labor component.
Got it. Okay. Now within that, at Spark companies, those are folks that within that walk us through what the recruitment of somebody that is a contract to direct looks like. Like what is, and again, I'm not looking for like industry, specifics or, like our secret sauce, because we do have some of those. I'll just put that out there in a different voice. But like, what does that look like? Like, what do our recruiters do within that?
There are differences to the process. A lot of the contract stuff is quicker pace.
Okay.
It might be quicker start. So it's a great foot in the door for people. Yeah. And we got some cool stories of where, we put people in to positions like my own brother, right? So we put my brother in entry level, like general labor type position at, a company. And here we are 9 years later, and he's running one of their plants.
Wow.
Like within, and that didn't just happen now. Like that's been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, that's just one story. That's pretty close to me because it's my brother,
Yeah.
right? But I could give you 20 other stories like that at the most entry level of jobs where those people have shown up.
Yep.
They're hard workers. They apply themselves. They learn. They got their foot in the door through this entry level job, and now they're running an organization, running a location. Running a. We have people that run like build departments or electrical departments,
Yeah.
like a department within a building, and I just love stories like that, because that's back to the purpose of what we do on help people grow. And it's like, hey, the focus is putting someone in a better position than they're currently in and giving them an opportunity to run with that.
Love that.
What they do from there, a lot of it's up to them. Some of it's up to the company, training, development, all that stuff, but a lot of it is up to them.
Okay.
I think that pretty much you're hard pressed to find a place that there's no opportunity at.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much everywhere has opportunity. That doesn't mean that every opportunity is right for everyone. It's not, right?
Yeah.
But, it's one of my least favorite interview answers when it's like, I just didn't have any room to grow. And I'm probably pressing that person
Oh, yeah.
with a couple other questions because, it's just generally, that is true, but it's a rare instance where even in places that need a lot of work on how they operate, still, if you show up, you work hard, you apply yourself, you're probably going to grow at that company.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so contract to direct, I'm catching that.
Yep.
For people listening, they may already understand that. We also do direct placement.
Yep.
What is direct placement? How has that looked for us as a company over the years?
It's just grown wildly for us, especially over the last 5 years. Like you look at the year over year on this stuff, and look at we're when we talk about now, okay, are we having a good month or a good quarter on this or not? But if I took you back to okay, if we say we don't like our performance this month,
Mm-hmm.
and I took you back 3 years to where we're look at it gives you some perspective.
Sure.
At the same time, that doesn't mean that if we have a month where we're off on where we wanted to be, that we don't need to figure that out and improve it. But just it's just grown immensely for us. So direct hire, I look at that more of hey, the company most likely is they're trying themselves and they're struggling to find the spot.
Okay.
It's not a variable labor component. It's a hole on the team that they have that they need. They need a specific person with a specific skill set, and they need it ASAP.
Okay.
That's generally the instance of it, right? And so we're coming in as a targeted search partner to help them lock into finding that person that can do that for them or people.
Okay, so that is, it's not necessarily that's not volume recruiting.
It could be.
Okay.
We're doing that in some instances because you get into labor shortages and stuff that we've seen over the last couple of years. And, we've taken some of these service lines right down to entry level positions because it's a way to attract people if you do bring them onto the team right up front.
Okay.
So it doesn't make the contract to direct option a bad option. But it creates some certainty for the candidates up front. Now we can do that through framing out in contract to direct how it's going to go, when they're going to get hired, all that kind of stuff. But you open up your talent funnel to full capacity, or at least you're on the track to doing that if you're going to go direct hire.
Okay.
So there's pros and cons to both from the company side on which way they go. But in this case, a direct hire, they're going to employ the person right out of the gate.
Okay.
We're just literally there to help them locate that person.
Now, benefits to direct hire versus contracted direct. Is it more specific for people?
The benefits for the client,
Yeah.
Better retention.
Okay.
You open the funnel.
Yeah.
That you can work with. You have a situation where it's probably those two. Those
Okay.
are the two biggest, in my opinion. You just get what I mean by when I say open the funnel. You just have more people that if someone's passively looking, right? That's what we're looking for as much as we can.
Got it.
Well, it's harder to paint the picture if someone's direct and they have all this stuff with their company. We make it happen all the time where like we can figure out a scenario that is better for someone to go on contract for 6 months and then they go direct. Like it's not a knock to that. Like, but it's more apples to apples. There's less hurdles to tackle on someone that's like willing to move from a direct and start. If they're going direct to direct,
Yep.
it's more like, okay, tell me about that.
Okay.
And it's more clear cut on, hey, like if this is the situation, if this is the comp, if this is the overall, perks, package, if this is my opportunity for growth, like that's of interest to me.
Okay.
It gets a little fuzzier on the contract to direct side with that if they're passively looking.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the people that we place are passively looking.
Okay. Over the last few years, and I think my timing's right on that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. One of the growing areas of business for us is what we internally here call RPS, or Recruitment Partner Services. What is RPS? How does that work within Spark, and why are you seeing people choose that?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people are familiar with like RPO,
Yep.
Recruiting process outsourcing. So, like within that, like RPS is similar to that. I think it's like a beefed up version.
Okay.
In my opinion of that, it's really customizable to the client, though. We can do this at like a max level, which I know is beefed up from your normal RPO scenario, right down to what we call like micro RPSs, where we're kind of hitting more one area of the recruitment process for a client and helping them with that specifically. So it's really tailor made for a client.
Okay.
So it can be anything from handling one part of the recruiting process to handling the whole part. A lot of times we're assisting HR departments on their talent acquisition strategy and implementation of that strategy.
And do you see that that's because they have a great department? And I don't want to buttonhole us in saying this, but they may have a weakness around one area within HR, meaning, hey, they're great at onboarding, they're great at, XYZ training and development once they're there, but they're not great at going out and finding the people, or a mix back and forth? Or is that they choose RPS because of the amount of people that they need to get in? Why do people then choose RPS?
I think the biggest area where we start with a lot of companies that have teams in place, right? Like a TA team or a HR team, is that they want help on the placement side.
Okay.
Like that's not their favorite part to do it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We love that because it's a big part of why we're here.
Yeah.
We're here to help. So there's that, right? Well, in regards to some of these other areas, it's really customizable to the client. Depends on the client. Just like a person, like we all have strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how the client's set up. Like some might have a good group of generalists, but they don't have a leader in place, or maybe they're in the process of a new leader. Well, maybe we're helping with that search, but maybe we're also helping in the facilitation during a process where they don't have that person for a period of time. Or maybe they're looking to promote from within on something like that, but there's a gap for that. Well, we might come in that area. Inversely, they might have some of those higher level people, but they're light on their generalists, or they've gone through an expansion, or, so we could be doing searches on those, or we could be, managing more parts of that for them within that. So it's really customizable to the client. It depends, in some instances we're working specifically on the interviews. In some it might be interviews, offers. In some it might be interviews, offers, onboarding, first day file, it could be like
it's top to bottom
cycle thing. That's what's cool about that area, and what's really helped it take off is that it's not only this, and it's you take this or get it. We can really frame it and set it up to that client. Now, one of the reasons we can do that is because we generally do it over periods of time. Well, those periods of time give us the ability to project manage around it.
Got it.
So
Okay. And then the last style of recruitment that we do is engaged searches.
correct.
What are engaged searches?
So you think of like retained search. So that, like, I'm a nerd for the recruiting industry, and like this is big in executive search.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we found creative ways to bring this to all of our different levels of search, or most of them.
Okay.
You know, I will say all of it, because we have situations where we deployed this even on like light industrial type scenarios. But engaged search is where we're going to take money up front,
Yep.
you know, for a search. And we're going to partner with a company on that search or a group of searches, and we're going to get those filled for them, right? Well, we take part of the money up front and then part at placement. In some scenarios, on certain things where comps spread out or bonus related, it might be chunked over periods of time. Again, that's more of an executive search style.
Right.
That's probably not happening if we're doing that on like a mid-level role where most of the compensation is going to be tied to just like their first year annual comp, and it's easier to figure out.
Right.
The more performance targets are in there and stuff, the more we might put some extra like layers into that for the client, right? Because like we don't want to like charge ahead on those things. Like they got to execute. It's just a good way for us. It incentivizes everyone to make sure we get the result we want.
Yeah.
Right? But that comes in more on roles as they start to bonus at higher levels and stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do. It does make sense. I I kind of want to wrap up this episode today by asking a couple of questions. Within it, we're super solid in all of these areas. Like I've seen us prove over and over within these. Our fastest type of our fastest growing type of recruitment right now at Spark is what?
Well, that's tough. I'd still say, I mean, if you want the one that's fastest growing, it's probably RPS.
Okay. Over the years, what is your favorite one of these? Like, is there one that you just naturally like? We just have such a well-rounded team, but each of us as leaders, like, it's like, oh man, I just love the boom boom, or I love the engagement.
I like them all for, for different reasons. I mean, you're seeing we have a big program going on right now for contract-to-direct.
Yep.
And I love the speed and the energy and just I love everything that comes with that. Like there's just a different pace.
I know we can't share, we're not going to share who that specific client is.
Yeah.
But can we share how many people that we're bringing to that client?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a week we put in 98 people, and we have another 70 set. So
wow.
We'll see. It's a new client it's not a new client, it's a new location. And so with newness, there's always stuff that we're learning. It's a lot of people to onboard for us or for the client, in a shorter period of time. And like not overall necessarily, but in it's a big project for a one location type thing.
Got it.
So there's a lot that goes on within that. So we'll see how the next couple weeks go, but you can feel a different pace, a different energy. There's a lot going on. There's twists and turns on that. It's because it's a new program for them that just came up that was supposed to start months ago and didn't. And, so that's part of the speed and the influx of like, we got to go on this thing. Yeah.
We got the green light and we're going
it's
after it.
exciting, because, it's a great client, great facility, great opportunity for those people to get their foot in the door and run with it.
Yeah.
So I love that type of recruiting. I do love the strategic side of engaged search and RPS, where we get to frame out customizable programs, or like on engaged search, sometimes like we're doing some forms of like strategy on like how to set the placement up. So I like getting to do that with the client and providing value that way. Sometimes that can even lead to like doing like actual talent consulting, where we might get into like compensation of a role or division or area, or hey, we're going to have we're building this department and we're trying to figure out like what we want the org chart to look at. So
Yeah. Forecasting some of that.
getting to come in and build that out with clients and, get paid to do it is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like that. That's something that for years we didn't do, but we were getting exposure to.
Okay.
And so now to get to do some of that stuff with the clients, and it's like sort of like, oh, like we get paid to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is, but yeah, like we've been doing it for 17 years,
Right.
almost. And it's like, you learn a lot from working with so many different clients in these different situations that like, yeah, you have a lot of value to bring in these areas. So to see that come to fruition is fun.
Yeah.
And then the direct hire side of things is, I mean, they're all fun for different reasons.
Okay.
So I like them all.
Okay.
I can't give you an answer.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Now, I know you've created other content around this. And for those of you who are watching, Aaron's creating a ton of other content on his socials. If you're not following him, go check out, Spark Companies, check out, Spark Talent, Spark Packaging, John Joseph Partners, Flex Work Solutions. You can check out Bolt, but you're also producing some of that at Aaron Opalewski as well. And one of the things you've talked about is timelines within this. These vary, right? Placement timelines and how quickly people should be as clients, right? This is on the client side, responding to candidates, or what the opportune search timeline should be within that.
Correct.
Can you spout those off?
Sure.
So like with contract to direct, how quickly should people be, grabbing those those candidates?
It depends on the sector.
Okay.
But for light industrial, we have some videos out on this.
Yeah.
And it's like we recommend 24 hours.
Okay.
You can't go, and you go any more in a week and you're going to lose most of your candidates.
Got it.
And so you look at that situation that we're talking about, right here, where it's like, oh, like we have 170 people set to start in less than 2 weeks. Like, how did we do that? Well, we got a 24-hour
window
loop on that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have that to produce that type of volume, in my opinion. It's the only way you're going to execute on it. So within that, like, that's the timeline.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to sound completely unintelligent within this. For direct RPS and engagement, is there kind of a standard, or is there a window you can frame?
Yeah. I mean, we love to hit on the direct searches that are mid-level, or even like contract placements that are mid-level, like 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Because that's inferring that, like, okay, you get the search, you got like a week to 2 weeks of searching max, and then a week of searching, a week of interviewing, a 2-week notice, and they're in the door.
Got it.
That's a perfect 4-week scenario.
Okay.
And again, since we're mostly talking to passive candidates, it's a flag almost if they don't put in that notice.
Right.
Right? So can we go faster than that? Yeah, if they're not working. Yeah, if we stretch those timelines even faster. Yeah, if we do 1 day of recruiting, next day interview, offer, and like a 1 week, like, yes, there's scenarios, but 4 weeks is good. 6 weeks, is still good. Generally, that might mean we go through the process once and have to restart, calibrate off of feedback, and, then kind of like reset, get some more candidates in the mix. Could also just be a search that is a little more specific and takes a
more
little longer.
comprehensive. Yeah.
You moved into the engaged search, and there's a reason it's engaged. Like, hey, it could be that's great if it's that timeline and you'd love it to be. Sometimes those are going to be longer timelines.
Okay.
And then RPS is just
It just varies.
It's just it's customizable to the client.
Yeah.
It could be very specialized and take a while. It could be really quick, similar to like the light industrial stuff on the contract end. It's just that you're staying involved in more the overall facilitation.
Got it. Well, again, Aaron, you completely school me, and I'm sure other people have learned on this as well. And, we certainly love all the aspects of workforce solutions here, whatever type of recruiting it is. And maybe you came across this podcast today, or you're listening because you're looking for a solution. Feel free to reach out to our team. We'd love to help you. Or maybe you're a recruiter, and this is just one of the things that is helping you to grow. I know that's part of your heart, just overall, is helping people grow, whether it's people we're employing or people even outside of this organization. So, Aaron, thanks again for your time today.
Thanks, CJ.